I opened one of my last videos with the question, what the heck am I doing here? And I already thought that that is, you know, the maximum of how embarrassed you can be while recording a video about junk journaling. But now, today, I found out that there's something even more embarrassing than asking yourself, what the heck am I doing here? Because today's question is, how stupid can you be while following a tutorial by Barbara at 49 Dragonflies? Yesterday, I tried to make pages for my junk journal, which I want to make from some really weird findings from a construction site. And this construction site is my new apartment because I'm going to move to Germany. I have told you about that in my first video of this little series here. And I have already shown you some weird things I want to use for that journal. For example, this gift bag here, this wallpaper, and so on. And after I have taken all of the things I've shown you in the last video, and I have put them here to my table in some kind of an order to see what I have and how I want to do the things in my journal, I thought about how to make the signatures and especially how to attach the pages to each other. Because as you can see, for example, with this bag here, I have some pieces that I can use as a page, and some pieces are a little bit weird and more handy for example, making pockets and so on. And of course, I want to use this material in like a clever way. I can tell you, I don't feel clever at all today. And then, you know, I was sitting here and I thought, how can I do that? And can I perhaps also try something new, something that I have never done before? I mean, this is something that I have never done before, but I thought about the binding of the journal. And then there came a video series to my mind I have seen on Barbara's channel a while ago that is called Vintage Grungy Junk Journal Tutorial Series. I don't know. I will link that playlist from her channel down below this video so that you can watch that and that you can see how it's done. Because here you will probably see something totally different. But her binding method inspired me to do something similar here. But the problem was that I have some different things here than she has, and that I made a little mistake while I was thinking about the size for my pages. And I still feel so stupid, you can't believe that. Because I tried to make a template for the size of the pages, and I already recorded everything in German. And when I finished my German video, I realized that Barbara did it differently and that she made the cover for her journal first. I couldn't do that for some reasons. I will tell you in a second why I couldn't do that. And because of that, my brain was totally, you know, like I don't know, mixed up somehow, crisscross everything. My whole thoughts were like mixed up because I didn't know how to do this whole thing. And today it's my second try. So I'm trying to follow her tutorial and I want to make pages for my journal. She said, and I want to have single pages and then attach them with some fabric to each other to make something like really really grungy and layered and puzzled together from different pieces. I think in English you can even say pieced together. Can you say that? Hopefully. She said we shall use something that is not too flimsy, so meaning the material we want to use for the pages shall be something sturdy, a little bit more stiff paper. So I've decided for this Amazon packaging, which is really, really sturdy. And this is approximately the size of the pages, but only approximately. Because, you know, I will tell you later what the problem was, and then I will also tell you how you can avoid that. But I also want to point out that it's not Barbara's fault, but only just my silly brain, that this thing can't work like I have planned it. So what I want to do here is I want to use this template and use some more stiff materials. This is an Amazon packaging as well, but this is, you know, a different material than this bag was, but both of these are really sturdy. And what I'm doing first is I make this into approximately this size or smaller to have some pages to work on. And this packaging here, so I mean, I have told you in the other video, this first video of the series, that I want to use the materials I have collected on the construction site, and during, and that there will probably be more things I will find during the time of my move. If you haven't seen the other video, I'm still in Austria here on the campsite in my caravan, because the move hasn't happened yet because of some disasters. And believe me or not, there's another disaster. I have heard about that a few seconds ago, so please excuse if I'm even more confused than I would normally be. My landlord just called me and he told me that it was raining yesterday and there came some water through the roof, because the roof somehow has a hole somewhere, I don't know, and he didn't know that as well. Yeah, and now a little part of my apartment is wet. And I'm so happy that this happened before my move. So I'm the first time of this whole time period, I'm really happy that I'm still here in Austria in my caravan, that everything is here, my whole paper stuff. I mean, imagine paper and water, that is not a good combination. You know, I'm really happy that I am still here and that nothing happened to my craft supplies. And I'm really sorry for, I'm sorry for this, that this happened, yeah, because he's a really nice person, and it's just, he doesn't deserve something like that, definitely not. And yeah, what shall I say? It's a catastrophe. It's just so crazy, because that means there will be a lot of money that he has to spend additionally to fix the roof. And I'm not so sure what that means for me and for my move and for this whole situation. So you can imagine that I need some crafty time here with you. And I'm really happy that I now can do this here. So this is the bag I found below the stairs. I can't tear it. I already found out that this is made out of several different layers, and that is really good, because that way I can bring some more grunge into this journal. As you can see, I'm tearing and cutting all of the 3 layers at once, so that I'm able to go to my sewing machine, and I want to have this like really, you know, like this. I have to be a little aggressive so that, you know, my nerves can calm down. perhaps this is exactly the right thing that I could do here now. So the plan is I want to go with this to my sewing machine, but first let's separate these layers a little bit, be a little aggressive, just like this, so that we have this layered look on the page later as well. I will save some of this material for the cover, so that was also a problem I had yesterday, because I mean when I first tried to do this, because I had no idea how much of this material I can use for the pages, because I couldn't imagine how much I would need for the cover then later. Why am I telling you that? If you watch Barbara's tutorial, you will see that she made the cover for her journal first. And she also was not so like limited with her supplies. I mean, I am only limited because I want to use what I found on the construction site, but at the same time I don't have so many supplies available at the moment. I told you everything, or nearly everything, is already packed into boxes, and that is also somehow a problem, because if I use too much of this material and I don't have enough left over for my cover, then I have a problem, because I would have to unbox everything. And as you can imagine, I'm not in the mood to do that. So I'm trying to get some pages out of this. And at the same time, I want to have enough left over for the cover, if that makes sense. What is this? If you consider to move, leave your Swiffer until the very last minute in your room, because you will need it until the very, very last minute before you go, before you leave. So is this too big? Well, I think this is a little bit too big, but I will just do it like this and like this, and then this I want to just crumble this like so. So then I'm going to take this whole stuff and I will go to my sewing machine and sew around here a little bit like crazy. On these pages, which have 3 layers from this bag, I will sew around the whole thing so that everything is like well attached and that it can't fall apart. And here on the other things, I will decide that, and while I'm at my sewing machine, and I will do that randomly, because it's not important, because this is, you know, just one layer. So I will be right back. So next I'm going to take 2 of my pages, place them next to each other, and then I take some fabric, in this case some Tim Holtz fabric. I'm a lucky girl, I could find that in one of my boxes. And then I'm going to take some glue, and I do it a little different than Barbara did it. Differently than Barbara did it. Because Barbara has used textile glue. This is bookbinder's glue. And I'm not so sure if I can do exactly what Barbara did because of the different glue. That's the reason why I do it differently. Oh no. Here's an address, and I don't want you to see this. I leave approximately 3/4 of an inch distance here. Barbara did this a little differently, as I said. So she has taken the fabric and she has sewn around the fabric first, if I'm not mistaken, and then she has glued this to the one side, has taken another piece of fabric and glued it to this side. And in her video, she has put glue also here to this area. So that means that the fabric pieces had glue in between as well. In my case, I want to do that differently because I have bookbinders glue and no textile glue. And I have the feeling that it is not a good idea to have the bookbinders glue in between of the layers of the fabric. So I will put the glue only here. And this is really hard because here's an address I can't show you. So I will put the glue only to the pages and not to the fabric here, because I have the feeling that that is not a good idea with the bookbinders glue, but I could also be wrong. So perhaps that is something we should try when we have better nerves. But this can work as well. But the problem is now that there is no glue in between of the fabric layers here in between of the pages. And that means when this is dry and I want to use this as a page, it can happen that the fabric gets weird here. So what I want to do is I want to let this dry, then take that to my sewing machine and not only sew around the piece of fabric here around the edges, but I also want to sew crisscross here so that this is sewn together. Even if there's no glue, it is attached to each other, and here's not air or something in between of the fabric layers. So I will take my other pages and attach them to each other in exactly the same way. One thing I want to mention is if you have a plastic material like this bag, for example, then I think it's a good idea to use double-sided tape, because the glue wouldn't dry on here so well. So I am just going to take some double-sided tape, and I'm a really lucky girl. My whole table here is empty. Yeah, so all of my Ranger mediums are already in boxes. All of my like little scrap boxes and what I had here on my desk, everything is already packed in boxes. The only thing, the only box I have left here is the box with my tape, and I'm really happy because now I can use double-sided tape for this, and that is good. Okay, so perhaps you want to know how I chose the fabric for here. I have taken what I have available, what I could find, you know, without the need of unboxing everything. But I also chose patterns which match the colors. I mean, colors and patterns which match my colors of the journal and, you know, the other materials I have. I have chosen one of Barbara's favorite patterns from the Tim Holtz fabric because, you know, this binding method was inspired by her. And I also have found this here. This is really pink, as you can see, but this is a really cool color in combination with this wallpaper, I think. And I had these things, which, oh, here's another one which is even more pink. These gave me a little headache when I looked at them in the last video because they are so different to the other colors. But look, this brings like a connection somehow. So perhaps you want to have those things in mind when you choose fabric for your own journal. But as always, I mean, if I wouldn't have this, in this case, for this special journal, I would probably even don't care about the colors or the patterns of the fabric, because these materials I have here are so different and nothing is really matching, But with the techniques and with the things we do in the journal, I think we can make this work, even if nothing seems to fit together yet. So I will take some more fabric and make these little connections for the pages, and then I will sew over them, and then I will be back. Ta-da! So here we go. It's already the next day. I have done all my sewing here, and the glue is also completely dry, so that we now can perhaps see if this can be a signature for our journal. I don't know if this is the final order of my pages, but let's see if this can work. And what I can already see is, I mean, look, I still have 2 pages left, but I can already see that the distance between the pages here is a really good one, because this feels really, you know, like a signature. Here is not too much space, but it's also not too narrow, and that is good. Oh, that is really great. Oh my goodness. Oh, Barbara, thank you so much. That is cool, because in the beginning I was really like struggling in my head a little bit, because this is, you know, it's sturdy, but it's like like a chewing gum somehow. And with this, it's, you know, it's really like a normal page. I mean, I will attach, I will add some more layers here. I guess a lot of layers, so that the page gets more sturdy. But the main point of my struggling was this area here, because when you have a lot of stuff on the page and then you have something stiff here, it can happen that when you flip the page constantly makes something like this and has this bending here, and that would kill my nerves. So this is just perfect. So that looks now like we have 2 signatures, and I made a 3rd one in the German video. So I think, where is my signature? I want to see just for a second how this looks when all of the pages are here. I want to get an imagination, or an idea, I think that is the better word, how fat this is going to become. And I think this is really good. Look, oh my goodness. Oh, fantastic. When I watched Barbara's video series on YouTube, I realized that the papers she has chosen already have been way more interesting than some of my papers. I mean, interesting in like a visual way. This is an interesting paper to me as well, because it comes from the wall in my new apartment. Yeah, it is already interesting, even if it is plain. But this visual aspect of something being interesting is not so extremely here. You know what I mean? So I thought, before I go on with other things, I thought about what I could do to bring some interest, like visual interest, to these pages. And then I came to the following idea. I have a ton of boxes here in my caravan, as you can imagine, where all of my stuff is in, and I need packaging tape to seal the boxes so that nothing can fall out during the move. So I have a lot of this, and this is definitely something that is easily available for me at the moment, and something that I use, so it has a context to my journal and what I want to do here. And then I thought, I need something that lifts up my mood a little bit. So I thought, what else do I have laying around here, which is not already in my boxes? So I found this printout of my brushed blossoms journal backgrounds. These you can find in my shop. The link is down below in the description box. And I thought, does this has anything to do with my project? meaning with my move, with my new apartment. And then I looked at these pages and I thought, this is just the perfect coincidence that this printable was laying around in my room, because these textures here, I mean digital textures, are so close to what I can see at the moment in my apartment on the walls. Because, you know, we have taken the wallpaper off, and then you have some of these like tiny bitchy leftovers from the wallpaper on the wall, and that is exactly what I can see here. And also these rusty colors on some of these pages fit really, really well, because if you have seen the other video, I have found a lot of rusty things, and like, for example, these screws and the nails and so on. And also in front of the house, there is somehow something like this, because in front of the house, there's a little, what is the word? I know the word. Lawn. And there already have been some tiny flowers. You know, it's spring and the flowers come out. But because of all of the dirt and all of the trash we had from the apartment, there are a lot of containers on this lawn with all of the trash. And those containers, unfortunately, and there was no other way to do that, have, you know, killed the flowers, because the containers are on this lawn, and with that, the flowers are under the containers. Do you know what I mean? And this somehow reminds me to that situation. I'm sure those flowers will come back next spring. Yeah, it's not so extremely crazy. So the lawn, I think, is still intact. When we got, you know, when we will get rid of the trash, the lawn will come back, and the flowers will probably also come back. But this is the situation I can currently see there somehow. So I thought, why don't I combine this printable with the tape to make some more visual interest to my pages? And then I came to the idea to just take this and do this, I think, really old technique, which you probably already know. You can do, oh no, I don't want to eat this. You can also do this technique with other papers, of course. For example, book pages or so. That looks really nice. And you take a bit of tape, stick that down to a paper or a book page or whatever, and then peel it off. Yes, that destroys the paper, but I can't get it off again. Then when you do that, you peel off the first layer of the paper, and you get a really nice collage photo on the one hand and a translucent thing on the other hand. Can you see this is really, really thin now? And with that, we can see what is on the page already, and we can see through this. That is, I think, really nice. So I will just randomly stick some of these tape pieces down here to my printable, peel them off, and then we can see if we can get some interesting things to our pages by just gluing them to the pages. So let's then glue these down. But I'm just realizing I said this is translucent, and of course it is, but here is nothing yet which could show through this tape. What can I do? Do I have something to make something here which we then can see through the tape? Let's take some black acrylic paint. This is just what I could find in one of my boxes, some Marabou acrylic paint. Or what we also could do, because that would be quicker and easier for drying, we could take some stamps. I have but that would be not so dark on this. This is porous. Let's try it. I have found a stamp set in one of my boxes, which I guess I have never used before. I got this in a Happy Mail. And as you can see, this is not Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. That is a really weird feeling for me, because the most of my stamp sets are from Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz. But that doesn't matter. This is very beautiful, yeah? Don't get me wrong. But in this stamp set, it says "Move Me." I mean, what the heck? That is great, because, you know, to move, yeah, move me. Universe, please move me. I don't want to be here anymore. So we can perhaps try to stamp here. Oh, that is, yeah, I guess this is good. If you have a wallpaper, I mean, what am I doing here? Holy cow. My thoughts are way faster than I can speak. So first, this also says, trust the magic. I think I have to trust something at the moment. If that is magic, I don't know, perhaps. And embrace possibilities. Yes, I do that. I try to do that. But what I was trying to say a second ago is, when I have taken off the wallpaper from the wall, it got rough. It's really porous on this side here. And I was expecting that even with VersaFine Clair, which is a really, really intense dark black, you know, that this is going to become too light, perhaps. And I guess if I would have taken, for example, this stamp, which has really much details, that would not work without a stamping platform and multiple times of stamping on this kind of paper. You can't see that in the camera, I guess, but it's like a little fluffy, and there's even some dirt on it. And I think it's not so good if you then take a stamp where you don't have the possibility to like press it down really, really much. I know that I get these marks from the edge of the stamp as well, but I like that in this case. But perhaps you have a stamping platform at hand. Oh, I think my stamping platform is somewhere there. So perhaps that comes in handy later. So what I have here now is something which hopefully shows up, yeah, when I glue this down. Oh, look at this. Aha. And what I also am wondering about is, this is a mixture of glue and water and a little bit of black acrylic paint, which came in here accidentally. But this is the only brush I have, and I don't want to go to my sink at the moment because I want to do this here. So I was wondering, can we use this as an advantage here now? Because water plus glue would be transparent in the end. Water plus glue plus black acrylic paint, I guess, turns gray, and that is a color. Color is great because, you know, here is nearly nothing at the moment. And I want to try to take some gel medium by Liquitex. I take it out with this really professional spatula. I don't have my spatula here. And I, of course, don't want to take my paintbrush because that is then gray, and you know, I don't want to ruin my jar of gel medium. So then I take the dirty paintbrush from here, some of my gel medium. Oh, that is very dark. Oh no, that is really dark. Okay, let's get rid of some of this black paint. I guess the most of the paint was in the paintbrush and not in the medium, but let's see. Yeah, well, it's somehow showing my apartment. Because the walls look somehow like this. Oh my goodness, that is great. Oh. But can we still see? Oh, I have to take this. I have to take this and separate it from the other pages, otherwise it drives me crazy. Can we still see through this tape? Nope, we can't. Okay. Okay. Embrace possibilities, Louise. Trust the process. What do you think about this mess? I mean, the reason why I put the gel medium over the tape as well is that the tape gets a little matte. In my German video I have used bookbinder's glue mixed with water, and I didn't like that so much because I like matte surfaces. Yeah, but it's nice somehow, isn't it? But what if we don't think about this, Louise? Just don't overthink it. Just go on to the next page. I think that is a good way to do this. So let's put that away to dry, and let's perhaps just take another page. This is also the wallpaper, and let's try something similar. What if we take this stamp? Let's see if that can work even without, where's my stamp pad? Ink pad? Even without a stamping platform. Because I like this stamp because this is something that, you know, how can I say that? This reminds me to new wallpaper, to some decoration I want to have on my walls, or in the finished rooms. Yeah, I am already thinking about in which colors I want to paint my walls and so on. And this is somehow something like a little view to what could come in the future. And that is, you know, the flowers which I get with my printable are also somehow something like that. Yeah, so that, yeah, the apartment is like the ugly stage of something at the moment. And perhaps sometimes you need something to, something to hold on, not only in your imagination, but also in reality. How can this work? Okay, so first of all, I'm not going to put this into my dirty mixture again, but I will take what I have here, so dirt-wise, I mean, hoping that it's not too dark, because I really want to see the stamping through the tape. And of course, the darker the stamp impression is, and the more intense the stamping is, the more you could see later. But here it seems to work. Yeah, this works. The other mixture was just too opaque, but here it works. And this is, of course, still a background, so we don't freak our freaks. Sometimes I think, no matter what Tim says, I want to freak my freak right now. Yeah, look. This is what I was looking for. Can you see that? I think in the camera it's not so extremely visible. It's way more visible in reality, but this is exactly what I wanted to have. That is good. And what we also could add here for some more interest, where is it? Is some more masking tape. Where's my masking tape? Because, you know, wallpaper, masking tape, is a good combination, and I will hopefully very soon need masking tape in my apartment for, you know, painting the walls. And that is translucent as well, so it gives it another cool look and especially texture. But I also add a little bit of the gel medium under the tape so that it sticks really well. Okay, then we can let this dry. And I will see if I can find more places where I can add my tape now, and then I will glue that down here on this wallpaper. I want to try, I mean it's still the same wallpaper, yeah, but on this page I want to try to add it here because we already have something which then could show through. I also want to have some dirt on here to make this more interesting. Let's see. This looks really weird. Trust the process. So let's see. Oh, I like that. But I will add a little bit of the gel medium on here because this paper is of course now really thin, and here there's, here on the top there's no tape on the paper, so let me do it like this. Perhaps we can even sew through there later or staple it or something so that it is not too fragile. And as you hopefully can see, we can see the pattern of the wallpaper through the tape here now, and I really like that. That is great. Okay, I will continue gluing these strips of tape down, and then we can go on with something else. Oh. Can this work? I have no idea. Okay, so then let's also use this stuff for some stamping. I need a page which is a little bit dry. Let's take this one here, and I want to turn it upside down again so that you can see this better here. So what I want to do is I want to take some of these strange things I found on the construction site. I always say construction site, I mean it's my apartment, isn't it? But it is two things at the same time. So I am going to take some white gesso to get some contrast here, and then I want to stamp with this little thing. As you can see, it already has some white gesso on here. That's only because I have already recorded my German video and I have already tried it out and I have done it. So where do we want this? I think I want to have a little row here, and this is really cool. I'm going to take this and I turn this, you know, I stamp like this, then I turn it around and stamp in the other direction so that I get a little variation of the shape. Like this. Can we stamp here on the fabric with this as well? Yes, we can. Haha. And this is still, I mean, all of this is meant to add to the background. Trust the process. So we're going to let that dry as well. See, here I would love to have some bigger, darker things. So let's take this screw, you can see I've already also stamped with this, with black acrylic paint, and that worked really well. But the problem with this screw is, when it was in the apartment and attached to, yeah, you know, the place where it was the whole time, the people have, over the years, painted the room again and again and again, and they have painted with the wall paint over the head of the screw as well. And that made that this is not a flat surface anymore. It's really irregular. But I found out, when you take this, and let's first do it like, you know, like with the normal surface below. If you take this and you and you stamp, then you get this. And this is, of course, what I want to get. Why is this here now like this? Yesterday, when I did it in the German video, it didn't work at all. I got some really tiny and weird impressions. I guess it's, oh, but this is even great when I use the several generations of this. I mean, this is, holy cow. This is definitely not what I wanted to have and not what I wanted to say, but it is something. You can see it. If you have something where you want to stamp and you have an irregular surface, which is, you know, not flat, and you can't get a clear impression like this, and you get something like this, try the following trick. I mean, if you don't like what you got there, if you like what you got, then just leave it, yeah? But if you take your finger or something like a towel and put that underneath, you can control how the impression gets, because you can, I now press with this finger, which is squishy, to the paper, and I can also move the screw a little bit, and with that I'm like wiggling the paper on my finger. Is that English? And I can get a better impression of this. Hope that makes sense. Like this. Okay, so then I also want to take this nail here. This is one of the rusty nails I found. I want to take some white gesso, and I take really much. Can you see this little nose here? So that I'm able to stamp wet in wet here. After stamping, I check if this is still white, or if I got some black acrylic paint to my white gesso here. If yes, then I clean the head of the nail and then go back into the white gesso, because I want these dots to be white and not gray. So here you can see now there's a little bit of black acrylic paint, so I'm just cleaning this off, and then I go back into the white. I think this looks really nice. And here I get a lot of texture now as well, because the gesso and the acrylic paint is really thick. And when this is dry, ooh, oh my goodness, when this is dry, this looks really, really cool, and it gives texture. Yeah, when I stamp with those things that give me texture, I try to focus on the edges of my pages, because I know that I want to add more layers here later. And if I would have some, you know, beautiful textured stamping here, I would, in the middle, I mean, I would probably cover that up later, and I don't want that. So I want to have that mainly on the edges. So let's see. In my German video, I have taken this weird metal thing, and I have stamped with black, as you can see. But I think to get some balance, I want to use some white here. I realize that I already have a lot of black. I mean, I love this color. Do you also consider black as a color? I'm always a little afraid when I say that, because so many people say that black isn't a color and white neither. But I see that a little different. So let's see. Here, this is stiff, yeah, so you have to take the page as well and press with your fingers so that you can get, you know, approximately what you had here, so that this can look nice in the end. Do we want to have more of this? I guess. Let's put that here. Oh, I wish this was longer. I mean, this piece where I can hold it. Okay. Perhaps we can try it even here. The black is already really, like, you know, looks dry already, or nearly dry. Perhaps I can go over the fabric a little bit. Oh. What am I doing here? Oh, that is great. Oh, that is great. Let's try some of that here on the plastic. Ooh, no. Wonderful. Okay, so what else do we have? What you also could, of course, do is if you, and that is something that I also learned from Barbara's video series, you could also, of course, stamp to other materials instead of stamping to the pages. Yeah, so if you think, I don't know what to do here in my next steps, and I want to have also some more texture and some more, yeah, more layers or so, then you could also, of course, take another piece of paper. Where is my paper now? And stamp to that with the things you have found. So what I did here was that this thing comes from my German video. I've just taken a paintbrush and I've made these black marks here just by, you know, going over this thing with my paintbrush. Then I have dried that with my heat gun. Then I have taken this little piece of pipe. I've stamped with white gesso, and then I have done something similar like a second ago. I've taken this nail and I went in and made these little dots here so that I now have some cool pieces which I can take and cut out and use as collage material later. So I thought I want to take these and leave a little, oh my goodness, I can already see that they will come out really cool. I want to leave a little white frame. I'm speechless. To be honest, I didn't think that those would come out so cool. Oh my goodness. What is this? And then I thought when we have that, we could take these and arrange them somehow and bring them to a page then. I will not do that in this video because that is going to be part of another video, because I want to, you know, like follow Barbara's tutorial to be on the safe side of this project, you know. If you follow Barbara's tutorial, then you can be pretty sure that you get something cool in the end. I'm just realizing, oh my goodness, this is such a cool experience. A second ago, I have tried to put the thread down here with the gel medium, and it was sticking on my brayer. And from that, I got these cool marks here. Look. Can you see that? That is not the thread itself, but it's the marks from the thread. That is cool. So I definitely want to put these little guys here, not over this cool pattern, but somehow like this. Can you see? Oh, this is so cool, isn't it? This is just so cool. I definitely have to make more of these elements for collaging with other, you know, materials. This is just amazing. Oh my goodness. But we will not attach that now. You could already see that that can be also like a focal point or something. And I want to add that in the very end. Into this journal there will also go some photos, and I want to avoid, of course, if I would glue these down now, that I cover this up with my photos. Yeah, I don't want that. This is just great. But of course you could also take something like this. I mean, imagine it was still the whole sheet. Just cut the edges off and use that as a background for a tag, for example, or use such a strip and make a bookmark out of this, or a belly band, yeah, attach it here and here, and then you could tuck something behind. I think this is a really great way to get a memory of the things you've found, and at the same time having something like functional or beautiful for your journal. The same with this little piece. This was also a piece of paper I found in the apartment. For these little marks I have used this thing. This is from Alight. I've just taken black acrylic paint and then stamped. And for these little marks here, I have used this plastic thing here. And then I've just taken some white gesso and stamped with that. So I will think about what I want to do next after I have finished this step with the stamping. I think I have to decide that a little spontaneously, because yeah, in this case Barbara always says she has to see what she has gotten from one step, a technique or an idea or whatever, and then she has to like look at it, and then she decides what to do next. So she often explains that she is working in those baby steps, and that she doesn't have a final result in front of her eyes, but that comes with the process. And I find that really, really fascinating, because I mean, if you follow our channels for a longer time, you know that Barbara and myself are really, really good friends, and we work together so often. And I mean, you know, we do Ephemerember together and everything, and often when we talk and plan things, or we have been on camera in different places, but at the same time on camera together, and that worked so well, but our brains work so differently that I sometimes really can't understand how that is possible. Because normally, and I say normally because here it is different, normally I have this like really clear picture in front of my inner eye when I start creating. That is not always good. And I sometimes am jealous, because, you know, when Barbara says I can do this step and then I can see what I have, and then I decide what I want to do next. Sometimes I think that must be so relaxing. That must be so good. And she sometimes says, how is it possible that you have like a finished result in front of your eyes, and how can you visualize how something can look when it's finished? And I'm like, yeah, that is no problem. That is normal for me. And we have often talked about that and how that is possible. But in this case, I think I can't see what is going to happen and how this will look in the end. I have absolutely no idea. I can see that I love this, and that I love how this obviously comes together, and I can see, you know, in this case I can already see a little collage here, and I can see a photo here, and this is my frame for the page. But to be honest, I'm not sure if that is really going to happen. I don't know. Perhaps I will cover things up later when I don't like them anymore, or they get covered up by some other techniques that I want to do, or whatever. I have no idea, and that is really fascinating. Because that is something that I experience not so often, and that is good. That is really good. So be prepared for some more fun with this weird journal. If you want to see how this comes together, then stay tuned and watch my future videos. And there will also come a video which I have recorded already in my new craft room. I have talked about that and told you that in the first video of this series, that I sat there in the biggest mess and made a video. That will come as well. I don't know, perhaps that is going to become the next video, or perhaps the one after the next one. I don't know. I have to see how that makes sense when I go to my computer and edit everything. But I think that this is going to become awesome. So I will let everything dry and then I can go on, and of course I want to take you with me. I hope you had some fun with this, and perhaps you got some ideas from this, and I'm really hoping that you could find some weird things somewhere in your house or wherever as well. And I'm really hoping that you try this out with the stamping and all of the things we've done today, because this is just so much fun. And I'm really hoping that you have a great and creative day. See you the next time. Bye bye.